The Prime Minister. Well, I want to understand what the Australian Jewish community feels about this afternoon. Alex Ryvchin is the Executive Council of Australian Jewry CEO and joins us. Thank you for your time, Alex.
Good afternoon.
What's your reaction to what the Prime Minister's had to say?
Look, there's no surprise on our part. I mean, the writing's been on the wall for a long time, but it hasn't dulled the disappointment. We want there to be peace more than anything. We want there to be some form of two-state solution. We want there to be an end to the war in Gaza and the misery that both Palestinians and Israelis have faced for so long. But nothing that the Prime Minister and Foreign Minister said today gives us confidence that that's going to happen. You know, they talk about the fact that Hamas can play no future part in governing a Palestinian state. Well, I'm glad we can all agree on that, but I don't think Hamas has that view. He spoke about the need for the hostages to come home. Who's going to bring them home? Is Hamas going to agree to that? And the true reality is that the only thing that has stopped Hamas to some extent, the only party willing to confront it and sacrifice to do so is not the Palestinian Authority, it's not Australia, it's not international peacekeepers, it's been Israel. And so we agree with the concept of peace and a two-state solution, but the way we're going about it now as a country is just not going to get us there. Given
that Australia has been long supporter of a two-state solution, isn't it by definition of a two-state solution that we as Australians would recognise a Palestinian state?
Well, we recognised a Jewish state when it was created, when it actually existed, when it had built the components of a viable, democratic and secure state. Things like a free press, a multi-party political system, organised labour. These are the things which allowed it to withstand invasion and civil war and enormous pressures over the last 8 decades. The Palestinian Authority, on the other hand, is embedded in the West Bank, but it's corrupt, it's inept, it's violent. In the West Bank, you have, in the Gaza Strip, you have Hamas. Hamas also has a presence in the West Bank. And Palestinian society has not prepared itself for statehood. It hasn't built the things that are needed for it to withstand the pressures it will face. It will face an Iranian regime that wants to occupy it and take it within its sphere of influence. It will face various jihadist forces which want to use it as a staging ground to invade Israel. And unless that state is actually capable of existing in fact rather than just being recognised in word, it's going to collapse. It's going to be a failed state.
The United States hasn't moved towards this declaration, but other key allies have. So given the UK, New Zealand, the French are all going to be part of this UN declaration later in the year. If Australia hadn't have moved towards recognising a Palestinian state, wouldn't we then be the ones to be left out on the world stage?
Well, look, our government is accountable to Australia, and we have no control over what the French and the British and the Kiwis and the Canadians seek to do. And I don't think it's satisfactory to kind of take shelter in these international coalitions. I mean, we need to do what's right, what's in our national interest, and what's actually going to advance the cause of peace. The United States has its position, and it's opposed to recognising a Palestinian state before it actually comes into existence. And that relationship with Israel is central to our national security. The intelligence sharing and gathering that we share with Israel as well is also critical. So we've undermined two key planks of our national security to seek the comfort of being in a coalition with other countries.
Deep in a tunnel under Gaza City, if the current leadership, whoever they are exactly of Hamas, when they hear about this, when the Hamas leadership hear about this, how do you think they'd react?
They will view this as a victory. They will say that what they did on October 7 and the sacrifices that they have inflicted on the Palestinian people as a result have all been worth it. They will view this as the political transformation they wanted, putting Palestine on the national agenda, ensuring that Israel stands condemned by the world and suffers these punitive actions. They will view this as the ultimate vindication of their actions. And not just them, all rogue actors around the world, whether it be the Russians, the Chinese, various separatist forces will look at this and say, violence, if done on a grand enough scale, will achieve political transformation. That is the lesson from this.
If this does occur, but obviously the Israeli cabinet's now signed off on it, if Israel does go ahead with the plan to move in and take over Gaza City, how do you see the future of Gaza being managed after that point?
Well, the Israelis have said that they have no desire or no intention to occupy Gaza long term. What they've said is that Hamas has been defeated to about 80%, but it has two main strongholds left in the Gaza Strip. And there is no point coming this far to only come this far, to leave Hamas intact, the hostages where they are, and the leadership able to regroup and then try to carry out more attacks. So what Israel has said it wants to do is defeat Hamas throughout the Gaza Strip, withdraw, hand over control to an inter-country Arab force on an interim basis, and then have Palestinian self-government down the track once Gaza can be reconstructed. That, to me, makes sense. And it's tragic that we need to go down these paths, that there has to be an escalation in the military aspect of things. But when Hamas remains there, refuses to lay down its arms, refuses to surrender, refuses to release hostages, refuses to accept exile and just go for the sake of its own people, there's no choice.
Thank you for your time today, Alex.